but this is home. This is where we started out. I came to Havre de Grace initially around age 8 or 9. My mother was always sending us to the country out of the city to see how the other half of the world lived. And I met Ronald's aunt and his mother, and I stayed with his aunt, and that was for 2 summers. I didn't see Ronald anymore until after I was age 10, until he walked into my house when I was 17, which was December the 26th of 1962. His mom was coming to visit my mom and dad, and he was with them. And my mom told me that Butch was in the house and I should come down because I was in the bed. And whereas young people put on jeans now to meet people, I put on a skirt and a blouse. That's the way it was back then. And he stayed at my house and we played 45 records until time for his mama to go. That was on the 26th of December. On the 29th of December, I received a 4-page letter. And the letter ended with, as far as I'm concerned, we are going to be more than just friends. Needless to say, 50 years later, we were more than just friends. And then we went through college, and I met all of the friends that he had in college, because he was very, very, very popular. And in fact, the year that I came, he couldn't come back that semester. And people like Mr. Cromwell said, "Don't worry, Bish, we'll take care of your girl." So nobody could talk to me at all. And then after college, we got married. And I wanted to live in the city, because that's where I'm from, Washington, D.C. But my mother said, "That boy's got a job and a house, so you better go down there." Got a job and a house. He was teaching for Cecil County Public Schools, and he bought the little house we lived in. And then I met all of the friends, our group, and we began to just have fun on Sundays, playing volleyball. And then one year we went to Wisconsin because he was teaching out there, and our son Paul was born out in the middle of nowhere where they hadn't even seen folks that looked like us before. And we came back, and we lived in Harford County all of our lives, raised the children God provided to us. And even children who call us Pop and Mom, because that's who they are. When couple walked in today, I said, "There's one of my babies," because we had so many babies. Our children grew up as cousins, like Natalie said. There was nothing that wasn't happening with one that we all didn't make phone calls and talk to each other and keep us up to date with our children's graduations from school and from college. And when Ronald got sick, one of my babies, one of our cousins called and said, that was Amy who was standing here, said, "God spoke to me and said to tell Mr. Ronald to lean on God's strength." So whenever somebody talked to Ronald about how he was doing, he said, I'm leaning on God's strength because mine is gone. So he leaned on the Lord. And the people at our church in Flat Rock AME Church down there, one of the members said Ronald took the word impossible out of everything. So wherever he went and whoever's lives he touched, he'd always say, let me see what I can do. He never said, I can't, wouldn't, or this can't be done. And that's the way he was with everyone. Ronald gave 110% when he walked out the door of our home to everyone he came in contact with. Didn't matter who you were, whether he had met you one time or he knew you forever. You always got 110%. Every one of our children had a special relationship with him, children and grandchildren. Paul and he became best friends. 14 times a day they might call each other. Didn't matter how many times a day. Debbie and Diane could call their daddy anytime, wherever he was, and he knew they'd show up, do whatever they needed him to do. I tell the story, I have to do that because it's funny. When Debbie broke down on 695, she calls her daddy, Daddy, I'm broke down. And Daddy says, what's wrong, Debbie? And when Debbie tells him what's wrong with the car, he said, did you put any oil in the car, Debbie? Debbie said, oil? But he got in his car and drove down to 695 to make sure his baby girl would get home. And Tony, who just left here on Thursday, Tony grew to be 6'8". Yes. There was no way he was going to get recognition in Hartford County. So Tony was enrolled in a Baltimore school, Towson Catholic. And Ronald got in his car every morning and took him to Towson Catholic. And made sure that he got to everything. Made sure the boys got to camp. Made sure the boys went to basketball games so that coaches could see Tony, so he could get a scholarship and play overseas, which was his goal. And I'm sure they had many long conversations about how Tony would achieve his life's goal. And Miss Tiffany, the baby girl, who Ronald used to walk around with her on his shoulders, like, you know, that she was a permanent attachment. And when she got older and finished college, I remember Tiffany said she told Daddy she wasn't going to college. She was going to live her life, raise her son, and Daddy pulled out a legal pad and sat down with her and said, okay, let's see how you're going to do this. And Tiffany said, the longer that pad went, the less I could see how I was going to live. But that's the way he was. That's the way he was. There was never a time he didn't have to make sure his children understood everything. And in the morning, Tiffy became a teacher and Ronald became a teacher at 10 minutes to 7. Her in her car and he in his car. They would drive. They would talk on the phone all the way to their respective parking lots. When Demira went to school, he made sure Demira got her tuition and her books at UMES. When Miss Mia started playing golf, oh my goodness, you'd have thought he died and went to heaven. He's got a grandchild playing golf. So Mia and Sean, and of course he outfitted every one of his children with clubs to make sure that they were able to do what he loved so much. And Travis, he'd take Travis out there. Travis said, I don't think I like this game. But that's all right. You didn't have to love what Ronald loved for him to love you. And that's the way it was. I thank God for sharing Ronald with us, because that's the way I look at it. God shared Ronald with us. And he seemed to have enough to go around for everybody, for everyone. And as he laid in his bed, he first said, I'm holding on to God. And that I had done everything he thought a wife should do. But then he said God was holding him. But on Saturday night, before he passed, on early Monday morning, he said he was on the mountaintop. And when he left and his heart stopped, he was a warm, living body with those green eyes looking out at us saying goodbye. So I thank the world. I thank you for sharing our lives in any way that we could share yours. We love you all. But most of all, I thank God for having Ronald Bishop come this way. Love you.